Welcome to The Perfect Balance, where this is the podcast where we discover your symptoms are not the problem, with your hosts, Eva Vennari, Dr. Heather Kneale, and Leslie Brown. Join us as we jump right into this episode. My name is Eva Vennari with the Elevate Institute, and I help high-achieving women overcome their menopausal symptoms.
Hi, I'm Dr. Heather Kneale. I'm co-founder of Global Nutritional Healing. We offer certificate programs in mineral balancing.
And my name is Leslie Brown. I'm creator of the Stress Relief System for High-Achieving Men.
And I'm Doreen McCafferty. I'm certified by the Czech Institute as a nutrition and lifestyle coach, and my specialty is in mineral balancing.
Hi there. My name is Joy Feldman. I'm also co-founder of Global Nutritional Healing, and I work in the area of a lot of authorship of the materials. If you choose to join us, you'll see a lot of the materials I've written for all of you.
Joy's the brainiac. She's got all the
Yes, I call her the word master.
The word master. Yes. Yeah, we
Thank
so that's
you.
what we were all chatting about is before we hit record, we're like, oh, we're saying a lot of good stuff about what does it mean to be in sympathetic dominance. Well, this is a phrase that is part of our specialty in mineral balancing. Sympathetic dominance has meaning. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But this is for those of you who are kind of like us, the type A's. We like to get things done. We're overachievers. That does go back to childhood trauma, by the way, but that's another topic.
That's true.
Yeah. So let's talk about what sympathetic dominance is, what it means. You can pull together all of our experiences. What does it feel like inside a person's experience to have sympathetic dominance, which is not a diagnosis, by the way. It is a pattern on your hair test. Okay.
Yes, we see it on the hair test as a potassium level less than 5. That's our technical term for sympathetic dominance. And there are some patterns that show sympathetic, not dominance, but it's a state of the body. We see that in fast oxidation. So sympathetic dominance, it's what it feels like. It feels like you can never relax. I think Joy said it really well, something about pulling your skin off, just feel like you have to pull all your skin off, but you can't relax. And that could be mentally, physically. I know for myself, I showed this pattern on my hair test for over 10 years. I'm very type A, and my whole family, they were amazed the first time I sat through a movie, amazed. Because I could never, I'm just like, oh, I got to fold the clothes. Oh, I got to do this. And I'm constantly, and I still multitask. I do that a lot, very well. But I can turn it off. When it's time to get off the computer and relax for a couple of hours, I can do that. And that's besides taking care of my body in other ways, it finally didn't show on my hair test, but it took years.
Mm-hmm. When you said about folding laundry in the middle of movies, I started to think about there's a phrase, frantic activity with little movement forward. So it's almost like activity for activity's sake. And I've had people describe it almost as if they could smell like their body was burning rubber on the inside because they were go, 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 and so stressed all the time. And I think it also is an explanation frequently for the desire to reach for drugs, sex, alcohol, to numb that down. It's almost the only way you can get your body to relax. Crazy smoking of cigarettes, like chain smoking, those kinds of things are possible symptoms that are associated with that. Being stuck in that fight or flight. So the sympathetic, we also think of as like a fight, flight, even has some other dimensions to add to that. Whereas parasympathetic would be more the rest and relax, heal and repair state. So that's a difference that shows up on the hair test. And it can also show up, you can hit a tipping point on that sympathetic where your body just says, no more, boom. And you can fall into an unhealthy rest and relaxation state, if you can imagine that, unhealthy parasympathetic.
Yeah, it's interesting because I can remember being really in sympathetic dominance coming into the program, and I still retrace in and out of it depending on what's going on in my life, which is okay. People are going to go in and out of that. I can always see why I went back into it. But when I originally came in, I thought it was really interesting that I noticed that when I slept, I was in sympathetic dominance. Like, I was a Pilates teacher at the time and did some other things, and I would teach all night long. I wasn't like nervous about teaching. I didn't have any qualms about my ability to teach, but all night long I'd be, directing a Pilates class, like telling people what to do. And I'd be like, why am I all night? I felt like I woke up. I felt like I had worked the whole night.
Yeah.
And now, at least when I retrace back through it, due to maybe external circumstances that I fall back into those patterns, I do I do shut that off at night. I don't go through that anymore. So it's been a big healing curve.
Yeah. Yeah. I have been in and out of this pattern for over 30 years. I can usually feel it in my body because I can't relax. I'm like in overdrive. And to me, it's almost like you start to burn out your emergency response system in your body.
Good.
Um, it's a system that really should just be used for, like a real serious emergency. Your house is on fire, or, there's an animal chasing you. Where I live, there's lots of animals. I always joke I live in a national park here in Arizona, but we have all kinds of animals like that, somebody's chasing you. But unfortunately, many of us are living in and burning out this part of our autonomic nervous system. But here's what's really important. It's a sign of the adrenal glands being exhausted. And so I'm not going to get too specific, but we look at the chart on the sodium and potassium levels. And when you start to see this decrease in the sodium and potassium, it's a hint that the adrenals are whipped. And I hardly know anybody today. If you guys know anybody, please let me know, who's walking around like all chill and their nervous system is all balanced. But I just wanted to share a tiny bit of a personal story. I'd mentioned in the last podcast that I am doing this diamond heart work and hoping to become a teacher of this and be able to work with people and help them. But we carry so much imprinting from our early years, trauma or not trauma, how we hear things from other people, what teachers say to you. You're lazy, you don't work hard enough, or you could have abandonment issues where you're panicking to survive. How will I be okay? So we, as young people, we have this information kind of in our memories, and I mean cellular memories, and it lives in a somatic way in the body. So there's a lot of different ways to heal this. There's this wonderful way we do it through mineral balancing, but also working with, the somatic energy of the body and releasing this not pleasant cellular memories that we are still reacting to as adults. I'm like, I'm 61. It's enough already. I'm still carrying crap from when I was 3, trying to be perfect for everybody. But we do, and it shows up on the hair test, which is such a valuable tool. So, all right, that's it.
No, this is a really, really good thread here, because A types are often known for being anal retentive. Not trying to be crude, but that really is the sensation of not being able to let things go. We're not all Elsa on Frozen. So it's like there's that place in time where sometimes I remember being in sympathetic dominance myself, feeling that sensation of, I'm so tired, but I can't fall asleep, because you need energy to fall asleep. We talked about that on a previous episode. But the mind starts to worry. You put your head on the pillow and you're expecting yourself to fall asleep because you're so exhausted. But then you can't, because your mind is reminding you of all of your ego really is reminding you of all of the mistakes you made today. and all of the to-do list problems for tomorrow. And it just never ends. Even when you have a pen and paper next to you and you're writing, okay, I'm going to get this stuff out of my head, and you write it down, right? And you, okay, now it's out of my head, and it still gets there. It's still there. And sometimes it takes that medication or a wine, and that's what people get into. This is the addiction part. It's like it gets us into this place of some kind of addiction. And I found myself addicted to processing. So the other thing that goes with A-type personalities is you're overthinking it, right? You get that accusation a lot. No, I'm not. I'm thinking about it just enough to get through it, really. So there's ways to handle, and there's ways to motivate yourself and to self-motivate. So here's another thing that I think is really important, is that coaches, especially entrepreneurs, they're known for working themselves to the bone. Like all the time, the mind is on, oh, what can I do to move my business forward? Who can I connect with? Who do I need to follow up with? It's always the to-do list. And I think we're all there as healers. We're looking to do that, but we have to be able to turn it off. And I got this question from a client just the other day. Eva, how do you turn it off? What do you do after you're done talking to me today? It's 5:30. What are you doing? I'm like, oh, I can play my flute. I'm going to go cook dinner. I'm going to play with my cat. I'm going to, there's a long list to do. I'm going to redecorate.
Right.
So you can replace what you think is work with what you think is play, but you're still doing. So let's talk about some methods, ways to shut it down.
Yeah, I wanted to mention one other thing that just came to my mind here, is that one of the reasons we work with this program is that the heavy metals or imbalances can keep you in sympathetic dominant. Meaning I was learning about the program and everything, but I was doing the sauna, my coffee enemas, I was going to bed, trying to go to bed. Insomnia was pretty rough on me. And I'm doing all these things right, but I was still like a mind without a body. And like Doreen was saying, I could sit up and think all these things, fix all these problems all night long, do degrees. That's where I got most of my degrees, is at night, insomnia. So, doing the right things, it will eventually get you to the right place. It takes a little bit of time because, like most everybody here has mentioned, some of this has been with us since we were babies and kids. We've learned it from our family, but also we have mineral imbalances and heavy metals and how we handle stress. So some of the things to answer Eva's question is the near infrared sauna that we talked about. It inhibits the sympathetic nervous system. That can be very helpful because right before bed, that's when I do it, before bed, because I am a very type A person. I get in there before bed and I'm calm, and then I go to bed. So that's one thing you can do. And there's many more. So if somebody wants to go on and say some others.
Yeah, I like a gentle walk. And what Doreen was saying, to even be in the sunshine in the morning and a little evening light makes a huge difference. And if I just can't sleep, near infrared sauna is where I head right away, because it calms me down. I like lavender spray on the pillow, that kind of thing. Sometimes if I just play a podcast in the background and be in the other room, the noise calms me down, which seems to be counterintuitive, but it really does help. Maybe I don't know why. I don't feel alone, or I don't know what it is, but that seems to help really too. But the near infrared sauna and sunlight would probably be my top two votes.
Yeah, those are all really great. And also that breathing of a longer exhalation to the inhalation. I teach like a 4 to 6 breathing when I teach yoga. It shuts off the sympathetic nervous system. It lowers blood pressure. It slows the heart rate. So it's a great breath to do for that. Also, I wrote something here. I can't read it. Oh, we need to set boundaries. And I know this is a big thing for me because I am really good at keeping in touch and getting back to my clients. But when like Eva was saying, it's 5:30, what are you going to do? When I decide my computer's going off, no more answering emails. A client may think you're great because you answered the email at 9 o'clock at night, but if you get in the habit of doing those things, they not only kind of expect it, but it's not good for your health. So I always tell my clients, I'm on this program too. I don't want you doing those things. I'm not going to do those things. And I think I've seen, like, I have one client in particular who is a big time overachiever and overworker and working, I can't even tell you, way more hours than I would ever work in a day. And this person has literally loves the program, mind you, and is on the program, but never detoxes. And I don't think we realize that if we stay in sympathetic dominance, we don't have the energy to detox. Always pour eliminators everywhere because the body is not able to get rid of them. So you can get in a vicious cycle of being not just in sympathetic dominance, but then not detoxing your body. And one is going to feed the other. So we really do have to address this. And it's going to take lifestyle changes. It's more than just, they want a pill. It's not going to work with just a supplement. They have to make changes.
Yeah, that's true, 100%. I'm going to sing. This is the way to correct sympathetic dominance, and that is slow down, you're moving too fast. Simon and Garfunkel had something on that. We really need to take a breath and pay attention to ourselves and how we're feeling. One of the things that I do, I'm sure you know about the story, and as I do yoga nidra, which is guided meditation. It definitely triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, and it gets you out of your head and into your body. Very powerful. And I agree with what everybody said, all these different ways to help correct sympathetic dominance. But I'm going to give my last plug for basic good nutrition. Eating really well. I'm working on a new book with Heather, and one of the things I'm including is really how food affects the brain. And there's real hard science on it these days. 50 years ago, we knew to eat well, but now they are actually spending the money to do research on how certain foods can calm the brain down. Those that are rich, in omega-3s, for example. And also all the green vegetables, but eating really well, paying attention to your body, being self-aware, yoga nidra, yin yoga, all of those things are really grounding and powerful. All right, back to you, Miss Eva.
No, and I love that because it ties in with what I wanted to say about the slowing down part. It can be hard to do, but I learned this in ballroom dancing. I have a lot of things, a lot of interests that I like to do. Ballroom dancing is one of them. And one of the lessons was go slow to go smooth, and smooth is fast. And I interpret that as more like if you are present in your moments more, not allowing yourself to cut short what you are doing, thinking that you're going to get ahead in your productivity for the day by multitasking, which is a myth. Multitasking is a myth unless you have machines that you're turning on and that's your multitasking, or you have an assistant. Doing two things at once is impossible. So it's like that slowing down and letting the moment play out. This is a practice. This is a mental practice, and it's forcing your brain to reprogram itself so that you can be present in the moments from moment to moment. So I think that's part of it. It's not just taking the supplements, and it's not just eating right, and it's not just, it is lifestyle. It's the whole cumulative thing. But I do want to say, here's a hack that's helpful. Being a nerd that I am, the vagus nerve. If we can, first thing in the morning, splash some cold water on the face, that can sometimes calm the body and put it into a different state of being. So just listening to all of us and the stories, I'm imagining what it would be like to sit in the seat of a listener or someone viewing this and thinking, you guys have been on the program for how long, and you're singing its praises, and you're still going in and out of sympathetic dominance. So let's talk about that, why that would be. And really, you all have to remember, we've been down and our bodies have been so depleted in the past. We've had a long way to come. Like, I'm surprised we're all putting together sentences right now. Anyways, let's
Very
talk
true.
about why.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Why would we not why would we go in and out of sympathetic dominance so much?
Yeah, well, one thing is that like Eva was saying, we've all been, most of us, I think, have all been ill. We've all been quite ill. I mean, I was told I had 2 months to live. That was back in 2005. So for me, it's going into sympathetic. I think of it as, on the program, we're going layer by layer. So think of it as like an onion. Where each layer is a different hair analysis pattern, and we're getting deeper into your body. So at some point when a metal comes out or something you're doing in your life, habits, you can go back into sympathetic. I know I've done it for different reasons. I remember I was kicking out some mercury and I was exhausted, and I thought, what in the world? Why am I tired? But it came back that I was back in sympathetic dominance. My potassium was really low. And I do believe that it's because I was getting rid of a metal. And also it brought back, I was super tired because I was having to push myself to get up and do things. So I was pushing myself into this sympathetic pattern. And then there's other things in our life that we go back to. I know I've gone back to like old habits sometimes, once in a great while. I'm like, oh yeah, my husband's out of town, my daughter's busy. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get things done. I'm like, I'm going to clean the house. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go see these people. My list is like, 50 things long. And then, my husband comes back and goes, why are you so tired? Well, geez, I did it to myself. So I think that's, some of it is what we've learned, and we go back to our old patterns. And I think some of it is healing, part of the healing process.
Mhm. And some of it, our bodies are just under constant assault.
Oh.
There's just no getting away from it. We've got stuff in the food, we've got stuff in the air, we've got stuff everywhere. Water, oh my gosh, clothing. It's just, the planet really needs help. But in the meantime, we're here to stand in the gap and help get minerals balanced. But so that was mine, is just this constant assault. But I also wanted to expound a little bit on what Doreen said about breathing. That is so important. I just started yoga probably first time in my life a year ago. I don't know how I got along without it. I just love it. But first they said, well, we're going to learn how to stretch. And I thought, what is there about stretching? And I went, you stretch, that's it. I went to 2 different classes that were extremely different, benefited from both. And I go, oh, I have expanded awareness. And I thought the same thing about breathing. You breathe in, you breathe out. What's the big deal? Only to find out, right? I mean, you're laughing, but it's true. We're shallow breathers. And I thought also, I did one breathing exercise, which you put your arms up on either side of the door jamb and lean into it and breathe. And I almost passed out. I wasn't used to having that much oxygen in my system. So there's so much to learn about breathing as well. And I think as we make these journeys, especially people who get involved in this program are thinking people who like to think about things and try different things. And some of those things may be really helpful for the body, and some of them may be too aggressive for the body. But we have the testing that we do to be able to double check that and see that even experimenting can put us into sympathetic dominance as well, because it can drain potassium, among other things. Okay.
And I think too, what you just said, we do go back and we do retrace through this stuff, and it's not completely cleared. But then at the same time we're doing that, life is coming at us. So, in the spring, my family was going through some horrific stuff. I mean, it was one of the worst times in my whole life. And both of my kids were going through things that had nothing to do with them. It was some other stuff that people were doing to my family, basically. And it was, I'm mama bear, so I want to fix everything. And then I started going through a healing reaction that was completely exasperated by the state of my surroundings, not being able to control any of these things. That was just life, where normally I would kind of sit back. I kicked right back into old habits, like Heather was saying. So I think that's really, really easy to do. And it took me probably at least 3 weeks to even get through the worst healing reaction I've ever had, and to accept the fact that my family's going to be okay. It's not easy, but we go through that, and there are things we can't help around us that are going to happen. So, when I'm teaching yoga, I always say, learn to respond rather than react. And we go into reaction mode sometimes. It's just the way that we're wired many times. And then right about that time, I got my hair analysis back too. And it did show me that I was dumping, some heavy metal. So that helped me understand what I was going through. And then my grandson stayed, I had family here from June until Monday of this week. And somebody's been to my house. And so finally everybody was gone. But the last week, my grandson had stayed an extra week, and all these reports started flooding in, more than I've ever gotten in 1 week before. And I started to panic because I'm like, how am I supposed to do these? He stayed here so I could take him surfing because I live by the beach and he was learning to surf. Am I going to tell him, oh, we're not going to do this because I'm going to stay here and work all day? So I had to balance those things and let go. I had to really let go and say, I'm going to get this done when he leaves. And no one that doesn't get their stuff this moment is going to die. And it was fine. I think as of yesterday, was caught up. But it was a real big lesson for me. And I think the universe sent that lesson to me for that reason. I needed to step back and learn it. And I'll probably have to learn it more often. I'm probably not done with it.
So why do we come in and out of sympathetic dominance? We are human, all of us. And we go back to old patterns, we go back to old behaviors, we lose our self-awareness, our adrenals take a hit. It's a very, very important topic, the autonomic nervous system. And it is probably the most under-discussed bit of information for healing. So I think it's important to have compassion for yourself. We all come in and out of different patterns. We are evolving, we're growing, and I think most of us on this broadcast, we all know when we're slipping. We know when we are going into that place, which I say, I need to pull the skin off my body. It's a good reminder, right? A good reminder to take a breath and slow down and kind of, unplug for a while. So I took some notes here, and I just wanted to say that we're all human and that we slip up and that we have catastrophic events happen in our lives. People die, we have to caretake, people get sick. And sometimes you wind up pushing your body more than your body can handle because there's not always a lot of other choices for some of us. So just remember to be gentle with yourself.
That's a really, really good point. This is why I say that there's no such thing as a work-life balance as we imagine the balance to be a scale that is 50-50, right? It's about being able to complement each other and then having the energy to overcome the days where you do have to push yourself. Because if we find ourselves in sympathetic dominance to the point where we're in exhaustion stage, like we feel like we've been running all the time and there's no way for the body to relax, that's heart attack, that's stroke, possible death. This is not good. Here's the thing. If you want to push yourself and say, I'll sleep when I'm dead, you're welcome to that. But you can reverse it and know that it's a 3-year journey. This is not something that is going to just that one day go away. We're at a place where all of us have surpassed that 3-year mark. And now we're managing a certain level of health that at times we push ourselves to achieve more because why? We're type A. And if you are too, then you're going to resonate with that. It's like there are things that you can do. And so part of what I had to do was match my energy and my hobbies together. And so I had to put down the hobbies like playing beach volleyball. That had to stop until the 3 years were up, and then I could take it up afterwards. So what did I do in the meantime? I took up knitting. I got really good at doing my nails. I got more sedentary. using the mind in a different way to relax yourself, whether that's people taking up mandala drawings, right? You've seen the coloring books for adults. Those became very popular because why? They're relaxing to do. So what are some other things that we can do while we are in this waiting period to recover from this sympathetic dominance while we're in it? What are some things that we can do that gives us a greater sense of expectation for success?
Well, for me, I liked reading. That was very helpful. Music, I think Leslie was talking about like sound. I love music. It's very calming. I mean, as long as it's not like, heavy metal and I'm like, running around the house cleaning or something. But I mean, really calming music, I love. I'm trying to think of other things I like to do. I love to research. So researching, but then again, that can be very busy stuff too. I like self-massage. I learned that. I learned trigger points on the hands. So these are things you can, and on the ears. I mean, who could imagine? But these are things I did when I knew that my body it was like a mind without a body, really. My body was so tired, but my mind was very active. So I had to find things that wouldn't tire it out, but that I enjoyed. And that's probably the key, is something you enjoy. Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it.
Mhm. That's what I'm going to underscore something Eva said too about energy, and which is what we're all really talking about. But to be mindful of energy was very helpful to me, and to realize that when it was starting to get low, that I needed to switch activities. And there was it's called Pomodoro. I don't know if you guys heard that. Pomodoro, I think it's tomato in Italian, but it's the name of it. It was a tomato timer that's used in the kitchen. And one of the business techniques that I'd learned was to set it for 50 minutes. And at the end of 50 minutes, have to stop and take a 10-minute break. Have to. And there's a lot of science behind that, literally, that shows the brain works far more effectively when you take a 10-minute break every 50 minutes. Very difficult for me to do. But I also incorporated naps. Every once in a while, I take a nap. Even a 10-minute Pomodoro nap really makes a difference because you just relax. But under the nap category, that would also include maybe looking at a magazine. I like to travel. As long as I didn't beat myself up for not traveling a lot, I could enjoy the travel magazines or cooking magazines. Or my husband does a lot of archery, and I could enjoy looking at that because there's so many outdoor scenes. So a nap could be anything that would be a break from whatever intense activity I was involved in. So naps, being mindful of energy, and practicing the Pomodoro, 50 minutes of work, 10 minutes off, are things that I really like too.
That's awesome. I love the walk in nature. I live by the ocean, so I like to walk, but I love to listen to podcasts, but sometimes I shut them off because they do activate your mind, and I want to be present in nature. And I'm always amazed at how many people don't notice. I was beautiful today. I was out actually on my bike this morning, but just the flowers and everything that I saw, so beautiful. But I'll go sit on the beach and just sit. Nothing on, no music, nothing. Sometimes I do my meditation. I do guided meditation. There are certain uplifting podcasts I'll listen to, but sometimes I think it's just being completely silent and being able to be present with yourself and really just shutting it all down, every bit of it. Even if you like it,
Right.
just turning it off.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm out in nature. I'm surrounded by the mountains here in Tucson, so I try to get out every morning and just enjoy all the different animal, plant life, mountains. Trying to think of other things that I've done. I am a big fan of yin yoga and yoga nidra, so I do a lot of being quiet, stretching and opening up, especially for me, the hip area really calms the nervous system.
Yes.
Yeah. Glutes, hips, hamstrings, it just calms me right down. I spent a lot of years not doing a lot of activity based on how I was taught, to just let the nervous system heal. So I did a lot of creative things too, drawing, art, photography as ways to get quiet. So anyway, All right.
Well, that's a bunch of great ideas for calming yourself or replacing a busy, very highly physical activity with something a little more sedentary that you can learn to enjoy while you're healing, because that's the important part, is to get through the healing. But we have run out of time. We have come to the end of this episode, and I want to say thank you for being here. Any questions or comments, please put them below. We'd love to know your feedback. We'd love to know what you're going through. Love to hear what you want to know about. My name is Eva Vennari with the Elevate Institute.
And I'm Dr. Heather Kneale with Global Nutritional Healing.
Leslie Brown, creator of the Stress Relief System.
Doreen McCafferty with Holistic Wellness from Within.
And I'm Joy Feldman, co-founder of Global Nutritional Healing.
And this has been The Perfect Balance. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Wrap.